What's interesting is the words customer centricity are starting to gain a lot of interest, but the basic practices associated with them have been around forever. There are many companies, many industries that have been very good at sorting out their customers, at understanding that some customers have greater value than others and therefore deserve differential treatment than others. The difference is that these practices have been very common for companies with a very small customer base. So if I'm a private wealth manager and I have 4 billionaires as my clients, I know how to treat them differently. I know how to customize my offerings to each of them. What I'm trying to do is to teach companies that have millions, if not hundreds of millions of customers, how to adopt the same kinds of perspectives using data, technology, and analytics. There are many terms that are often used synonymously. So whether it's customer awareness, customer intimacy, customer experience, there's a lot of words that we use about just wanting to understand customers' needs and tailor offerings in some generic way. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think a lot of those terms and the business practices associated with them are great, but too often companies are applying these other terms in a one-size-fits-all manner. So, and very often they'll speak about the customer in a singular way. We need to understand the customer. We need to anticipate the customer's needs. The whole point of customer centricity is that there's this vast range of customers. And for some of them, we're going to treat them really well. For some of them, it won't be so special. So really, the heart of customer centricity is the difference across customers and the need to use different kinds of business practices for one customer or another. Well, very often, marketing as a term isn't necessarily distinct from customer centricity. I think it's the practices that differ. So in marketing, the whole idea of let's understand who the customers are, let's anticipate their needs, and let's develop products and services to meet those needs. The basic marketing concept, I think, is as valid as ever. But what's happened over the years, over the really 50 years since marketing became a real important discipline, is so much focus on product development. So let's come up with the product that is going to help meet the customer's needs. Let's come up with a blockbuster that's going to be broadly appealing to all of the customers. Maybe we'll tailor our message to one customer group or another in order to get all of them to buy the product, but it had very, very much a product focus. And a lot of that was driven not by marketing itself, but by our colleagues on the supply chain side, who really wanted to focus on limiting the product offerings that we have, getting the costs down, keeping the volume up, and let's use marketing just as a way to push our products as broadly as possible. In the customer-centric world, we stay true to the marketing concept, but instead of pivoting it all around the really valuable product, we're going to pivot all around the very valuable customers. So let's start with who the really valuable customers are and then develop products that are going to help make them more valuable, instead of just viewing the customers as an outlet of the product. Well, I don't want to suggest that product centricity is over. I don't want to suggest that firms that do it or firms that strive to do it are doomed to fail. In fact, I recognize that most firms are product-centric. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, most firms will be product-centric. But product centricity doesn't offer the same kind of can't-miss success that it used to. It used to be you just come up with a good idea, you produce a lot of it, you find the customers for it, and that was it. You sit back and count the money. Today, because of a variety of different pressures, ranging from technology to globalization to deregulation, it just takes some of the goodness out of product centricity. You can still succeed with it, but you have to work harder, and the heights that you can reach with it aren't quite as high as they used to be. And for some companies, it will be the case that customer centricity can actually lead to much greater success. Again, I don't want to say it's true for everybody, But I think more companies need to explore this concept, and if they really understand it and they know how to execute on it and build a firm around it, they can do much better than just coming up with the blockbuster product. And the whole point of customer centricity is the celebration of the differences across the customers, which means some customers will benefit and some might not. The key for the firm is to figure out who are the ones who deserve to benefit, who are the ones who we want to spend a lot of time anticipating their needs. We want to spend a lot of time making sure they're happy, and if they're not, we're going to do something about it. But for many customers, it's not worth our while to roll out the red carpet for them. And we would be better served to say, you know what, we're glad to have your business, we're glad to have a relationship with you, but it's going to be on our terms. So don't ask for the same kinds of things that our valuable customers ask for, or don't expect to receive them. The problem today is that so many companies have this one-size-fits-all mentality, which means that some customers are treated too well and some aren't treated well enough. So we need to allocate our resources more appropriately on the basis of customer value, which means downplaying the relationship we have with certain customers. There are so many things that companies have to do in order to become truly customer-centric. Some of them start at the top. A recognition that we really are going to be putting valuable customers at the center of our business model. Again, instead of just viewing customers as entities out there that soak up the supply for our product, we're going to say we have these valuable customers and we're going to do whatever it takes to create this long-lasting relationship with them, even if it means suggesting products and services that we make no money on, even if it means perhaps even recommending competitive products and services. So it's a very, very different mindset at the top associated with customer centricity. And then lower down, some of the tactics that we follow, instead of being so beholden to the brand. I mean, the brand has really been the main weapon of marketing. Let's use the brand to create demand for the product. I'm not saying that branding is unimportant, but some of the relatively mundane tactics that we associate with direct marketing, but not necessarily a big brand marketing, things like customer retention, customer development, and a careful focus on customer acquisition, these kinds of tactics will take an equal level with brand building. So high up in the organization, low down in the organization, changes need to take place. It means completely different organizational structures, completely different performance metrics, completely different incentives. It's very difficult for a company to become customer-centric overnight, and in fact, some of them will never be able to achieve it. Because of their dream. I think you have to blame me. You have to blame the professors, because most of the way we teach marketing implicitly is associated with product centricity. So we have the product to sell. Which kinds of customers should we go after? And what's the next product we should come up with? And we're often coming up with those product decisions on the basis of purely internal factors. What is it that our R&D people are good at, as opposed to asking, what is it that our really, really valuable customers want? So a lot of the practices, not just in marketing, but even in supply chain, even finance, and all across the business school, we are implicitly product-centric. And not to say there's anything wrong with that, but it makes it hard for a lot of our students to even learn what customer centricity is, much less figure out all the different kinds of tactics and organizational challenges associated with it. But because of conversations that we're having, by no means am I the only one who is touting the virtues of customer centricity. I think the ideas are catching on. We're seeing a global audience for it. And just with all the data and analytics that we have at our fingertips today, a number of companies are just naturally curious to say, hey, can I build a business model using the data, even if they weren't familiar with customer centricity to begin with? We see resistance all over the place. One, it goes back to product centricity, which is a lot of companies are just focusing on their internal product expertise to figure out what is the next product that we should launch. And again, that is the lifeblood of so many companies. We also see skepticism at the top. There are many CFOs out there who believe that to maximize shareholder value, which after all is their job, it corresponds in a one-to-one manner with product centricity. They really do believe that maximizing shareholder value is all about excellent product development. They don't realize that maximizing shareholder value can be achieved by putting the customers forward. And in fact, if you mention that idea to them, they reject it. There are so many who reject customer centricity almost as if it's something like communism, that just on a visceral level, they don't even want to think about it. They don't like the idea of, we don't want to just create a community with our customers. That's not the way to make money. It's all about product. So we'll see resistance or just lack of understanding throughout the organization. And very often, the strong advocates for customer centricity tend to be fairly low down. Some of the better examples I've seen would be just a single product or a single division within a company that sees the light and turns in that direction. But at the high level, they don't understand it. And in fact, they're bemused by the fact that this manager is doing something unconventional. So it takes very, very strong senior level management. And we're starting to see some nice examples of that. And I think those practices will spread from one company to another. So customer centricity is a business strategy where we, first of all, sort out our most valuable from our less valuable customers. And upon identifying those most valuable customers, we pivot the entire business or the primary part of the business around them. So we're going to focus on creating more value for those valuable customers, on keeping them for a long period of time, on extracting that value, and very importantly, finding more customers like them. So instead of focusing on just great volume, let's get as many customers as we can, we're willing to have fewer customers, but they have so much greater value that we can actually achieve greater success.